Well, good morning. Oh, pondering this morning. Oh, what else is new? That's not new for me. I ponder all the time. And the title that I came up in my pondering today is called Programming the Human Mind. And the blurb goes like this. Today I'm going to share a portion from Book 3 in the Ringing Cedars of Russia series, also known as the Anastasia or Anastasia books. This one is called The Space of Love, and chapter 14 that I will be reading from and commenting upon is called A Father's Role. Here is a quote from the section I will be sharing. Anastasia is speaking. There is one universe, just one. Indivisible. But in that one universe, each one has his own space and is responsible for the whole. Each one is indivisible. That's the end of her quote. We have been programmed in the matrix to be separate and disconnected, not recognizing the truth of what Anastasia shared with Vladimir. We gave up. It's time we stopped giving up and giving in to our cultural lies that have impoverished and disempowered us. Just so that you see it, this is the book, and you can see I have some tags in there. This particular section I didn't tag, but as I keep it, I've been keeping it in the bathroom and picking it up and reading a little bit each time I sit on the pot. And I just turn. I don't even read it in order. I just turn to different parts and open it up and start reading. And yesterday, or possibly the day before, I started reading this section about a father's role. Now, let me just say that when I discovered the Anastasia's books, it was several years ago now, and there were 4 of them that had been translated into English, and I ordered, or no, 5 of them. I think 5 of them that had been translated into English, and I ordered them. One of them was not available. It had sold out, and I had it back. It was back ordered, but I read the first 4 books, if I remember right, in 4 days. And you can see they're not little books. They're fairly, 200 and some pages in each book. And I read them in 4 days. I could not put the books down. They were speaking to me very, very clearly. And I hardly got any sleep at all then, even less than what I get now, because I was so enamored with the message and so in tune with what Anastasia was sharing with Vladimir. And I'm going to read a section of that book right now from pages 112 to 114, actually. And here it goes. Vladimir is speaking. You talk about the events of my life. Was there anything in which I was different from other kids? And Anastasia replies, I am talking specifically about you and about those who are listening to me at the moment. That means all of us, okay? Then Vladimir again, so that must mean there are many rulers of the universe if each one of us is born to be one. But how can that be? What sense does it make being a ruler if there are many ruling over the same thing? Or does that mean there are many universes? And here's the quote that I read at the blurb. There is one universe, just one, indivisible, But in that one universe, each one has his own space and is responsible for the whole. Each one is responsible. Vladimir asks, so where is it? My space, I mean. She says, it has been lost, but you will find it. He asks, when did I manage to lose it? She said, when you gave up. What do you mean I gave up? I was just like all the other kids. She says, like all the other children, you believed in the kindness of people around you. You believed in your parents. You began more and more to repress your own desires. And you accepted their belief that you were nothing but an ignorant, insignificant youngster. And the sensations inculcated in you by the abuse of your childhood kept on haunting you throughout your life, even to the point of attempting to reproduce themselves in your offspring. You went to school like everyone else. There you were told how man was nothing but a monkey, how he was a primitive creature, how foolish he was to believe in God. You were told about how there was just one leader who knew everything, a leader chosen by the people, a leader who alone was more worthy and more intelligent than anyone else. And you got carried away with poems about that leader. You began glorifying him without a second thought. And Vladimir says, it wasn't just that I extolled and read verse as I was told. I actually believed it back then. And she says, yes, many people read verse. There were even competitions to see who could extol him better than anyone else. And you tried to be the best. He said, so did everyone else back then. She says, yes, the whole system demanded that everyone have the same aspirations, and thereby perpetrated violence on everyone. It tried to break people to preserve itself. But then all at once, partway through your life, you discovered that there were a lot of systems out there, and that they were all different. And you discovered that man, quite possibly, was never a monkey. And the very wise leader turned out to be a very stupid tyrant. And it turned out that your generation had been living life all wrong. Now there was a new system to live by. And then you became a parent, and unthinkingly you handed over your daughter to the new system, as though you were doing her a favor. You were not thinking as you did before. You used to wonder when your toys made noise, but you didn't wonder anymore. Having accepted abuse yourself as a normal state of affairs, you began abusing your own child. Century after century, various systems have come and gone, one after the other, but all with a single goal: to kill you, a ruler and wise creator, and transform you into a soulless slave. The system always operates through parents and through those who proclaim themselves to be wise teachers. They will come up with new teachings, thereby engendering a whole new system. And it does not take much investigation to see clearly that they are motivated by the age-old ambition to separate you from God, to come between you and make both you and God try to live and work only for them. This is the core of any system. And you, Vladimir, started asking me to create yet another system. I shall not be able to fulfill your request. You must look around you. try to make sense of things through your heart alone. Tell me, Anastasia, what about our son? Do you mean to say that living out here in the dense taiga, among all the wild beasts, he has not known violence even in the least? She said he knows neither violence nor fear. He is ever more confident that everything here is subject to man, and that man is answerable for everything. I needed to go back and read this, and I wanted to share it with you because I think this, in a nutshell, tells us where we are right now in human development. We're beginning to question the system. We're beginning to look at what we've created. And we're beginning to realize the absurdity of it all, the insanity, the psychopathy, the sociopathy. It's poison, the system that we've created. It's not about even blaming, even though that sort of lets us feel better and lets us off the hook in our own minds. But as she said, each one of us is responsible. That's what the ambassador's been trying to tell us. That's what people of wisdom have been trying to tell us all along. That each one of us is responsible. And we're not separated from the whole. We're connected to the whole. And whatever environment we are in is the environment we are intended to learn from. Why? Because that's the one that's right there in front of us. So we learn from what is. And we experience ourselves by what we're doing. But we've created all of these systems of avoidance, systems of denial, systems that glorify our own ignorance and our own separation. I'm not putting down individuality. Individuality is important. Anastasia is certainly an individual. Their little son, Vladimir, and her little son are individuals. How did she raise him? The same way her grandfather and great-grandfather raised her after her parents died. She learned to walk on their graves. And how did they do that? They let her follow her own instincts, and they did not try to guide her into any system as we do to our children and have been doing generation after generation. Everything was made for man, and man was the ruler of his own domain, her own domain. And when I say man, I'm not talking masculine here. I'm talking about the human family, the human race, or sentient beings, humanoids even. She said of herself, I am man, I am a woman. I am man, I am male, I am a man. We don't have that word in English. Human is the closest I can come by, but it's more than that, because man was made to be a ruler, but not to rule over others, to rule over his and her own domain. And when each of us takes responsibility for ruling over our own domain, we discover that the universe is made for us and works in harmony with us as we work in harmony with it. And we are responsible for what we experience and how we respond and react to the things that we experience. It's not an illusion. It's what we've created. It is creation itself. It's not about separating and dividing. It's not about judging. It's about simply recognizing what is and learning to love again and remembering again who we were created to be at the very beginning. We've forgotten, though we've come a long way. I keep forgetting, which is why I have to keep going back and looking again to remind myself why I'm here. I'm here to heal. I'm here to gather the fragments of my life that have become disconnected from me. And I have chosen that disconnection many times because I couldn't handle that part of myself, that shadow, the sexuality, the spirituality even. I couldn't handle parts of myself, so I pushed them away for a time. But they kept coming back, and folks, they will keep coming back. All of your fragments will keep coming back until you recognize them as yours, and you stop saying, well, that's not me, that's not me. Isn't that what money religions teach you to say? Well, that's not me. That's not my thought. Those aren't my feelings. Yes, they are. It's all yours. It's all ours. We are really one universe, part of an interconnected whole. And if we're going to heal ourselves, and if we're going to heal the world in which we live, we have to start seeing again and remind ourselves again what Anastasia said. There is one universe, just one, indivisible. But in that one universe, each one of us has our own space and is responsible for the whole thing. Each one is indivisible. The holographic universe. Everything is part of everything else. Everyone is interconnected to everyone else. Will we remember to love? Will we remember who we are? If we don't, we are on a path of destruction. But as Aristo said in his recent video, the universe has conspired on our behalf to bring everything back together and to help us see again more clearly not only who we are now, but who we have always been. Children of creation, children of the Creator that may finally be ready to grow up to the next phase in our evolution. Thank you for listening. Namaste.